What's up, everybody? It's Monday. It's April 29th, 2024. It's already been a busy day. I've been working. No emails responded to today. I will get to that after this video. I've been out and about, working hard. All right, so we've got hockey, NBA, and baseball to talk about. And for those that were asking about baseball, I'm leaning on the side of not doing it in May. I've had about 5 or 6 responses so far. It's really just not enough for the amount of effort and time I have to put in. And, if I dedicate my time to doing it, I have to do a lot of work to make sure it's current, updated, catching everything. And if it doesn't work out, I feel bad. And so I really like it if you guys can just kind of take it upon your own and update the file yourselves and work with it and learn how it works so that you're not relying on me, because it's going to be a very, very hectic month actually coming up here in May. So we're leaning against it right now, but we'll obviously wait for more responses as well. So let's talk about hockey. 2 games. Thinks Florida will finish off this series against Tampa Bay tonight. Line's not good. Tampa Bay will be fighting for their life, though, with one of the best coaches in the business. So we'll see how that game goes. And then extremely close, Dallas and Vegas. These games in the series really want to go either way. Dallas was one of the top teams in the West, and Vegas is defending the cup, and it's just a hard fought battle. You do get an underdog line of Vegas at home at plus 104, so that's something to consider. Let's go over NBA, which actually seemed to have worked out the best yesterday for everybody. We had 3 underdogs winning yesterday. Today, you've got, once again, a fairly reasonable line at minus 500 for the Celtics because they have this huge margin. So they'll probably win again. They did have that one-off they lost a couple days ago, but it does say they'll win tonight. Nuggets are now minus 265 at home against the Lakers, much worse than that line when they were in LA. Looks like LeBron is playing if there's a 94% health factor for the Lakers, so the line's really not very good. And then the Thunder, I think is the best line on here and probably the most reliable game on here. Thunder have been playing great. They look like they're going to advance. They are healthier than the Pelicans. So the NBA pick of the day is going to be the Thunder. That's not a terrible line tonight. Now let's go over to baseball. So we got spanked yesterday, and the pick of the day lost, and we need to review everything and see what's going on with baseball. Just looking at the list, there are 5 games above 10% margin, 2 games above 20% margin. Philly over LA and Pittsburgh over Oakland. Both of these are pick of the day candidates. We will look at these games. Minnesota, Dodgers, and then we have an underdog Washington over Miami. They keep winning games in this series. They're looking to sweep the Marlins. So that might be a pick of the day as an underdog. We'll see. Rest of the games should be a lot closer. So let's dig into those games here one by one. Let's put in combinations for, sorry, we're still going with 178. And as I was looking over the emails people had sent when I'd asked questions about what you're doing with it, some people have said, they're using their own combinations and their pick of the day doesn't necessarily agree with my pick of the day every day. That's good. You should be using it and analyzing it and trying to find better combinations. You can see combination 178 actually has Pittsburgh on top and Philly down here is the 4th pick of the day. So we might be leaning toward Pittsburgh, but that's absolutely what you want to do is you want to dig through these percentages and stats and look at the end of the day at who wins and try to figure out why they're winning or which of these stats were impactful. It certainly does matter, and it takes a lot of work. It's just one of the reasons why I don't want to commit to doing May, because you got to be full force and doing it all the time. It requires all your attention. So Yankees at Baltimore. Says the Yankees, sort of. Margin 0. Very close game. Stats are really closely aligned on both of these teams. Their BABIP's the same. Their lineup factor is the same. ERAs are fairly close. WHIP is really close. Should be an extremely close game here in Baltimore. It's a gorgeous day. It's warm. Ball will probably be flying out of the areas of Camden Yards where it can fly out of on a hot day like today. But it says it's too close to call. St. Louis and Detroit. 5% margin for Detroit. 0-1 Kenta Maeda. ERAs are kind of bad here. Is it warm in Detroit? Because they might get to the over. That's what it's saying here. Over 9.6 runs. Lineup factors are not very good, though. So it's also just a really close game and almost too tough to call at 5% margin. Here's your Washington underdog, 5-4. Jake Irvin going against Trevor Rogers, who's 0-3. The Marlins lineup factor is terrible and their bullpen is bad. This is an underdog pick of the day. Nationals to sweep this series. There's enough here. Even though Jake Irwin's 1-2, Trevor Rogers 0-3. They're both going to go about 5 innings, and ERA is a little worse for Irvin, but the Nats have been hitting the ball this series, coming back from 7-0 yesterday to win. So they're on a hot streak, which is another thing I was thinking of adding in is changing one of these factors and adding in the number of or the win percentage over the last 7 days. It's a stat I used to put in here. It's something you might want to consider because like yesterday, we couldn't get the Yankees beating Milwaukee with any one of the stats available other than their streaks, other than they've been picking it up and playing better over the last week. So it's something you can consider. You can add different stats in here for those of you that really want to dive in and use this to its fullest potential. Putting a different statistic in here, something maybe even related to right or left-handed splits or to home and away. There's a lot of different things that you can do. It's one of those things where the White Sox swept Tampa Bay. They did it at home. I mean, the only games the White Sox are winning are at home. And so maybe we need to incorporate home or away as a factor. I don't really want to kill myself doing this anymore. It's just not worth it for me to do it. It's too much, but it's something you can do. So adding factors in here and having them connected to the margin calculation is what we're doing. The team power, I should say. The team power calculation is the real big formula in here that is looking at all of these different factors and weighting them appropriately. So you would just kind of insert another factor in here and then add the formula into the margin to reflect what that stat is. So it could be like home win percentage versus away win percentage. And it could give you a number here, and it could look to see whether the team is home or away and then apply that percentage as a factor. That's something that could be done. Just talk myself into potentially adding a new stat in here. I think that might be beneficial because home teams do have a kind of unique advantage in baseball where they bat last, and it's a little different than other sports where home actually changes the flow of play in a game. And so it probably should be in there. Kansas City, Toronto. Kansas City in an underdog line with a 3% margin. However, Jonathan Bolin is making his first start of the season, so we're using his very limited stats for 2023 in here. Yariel Rodriguez has also only pitched 11 innings, so it's a rather tough game to play, but it could go to the way of Kansas City, and that is a really generous line. Cubs and the Mets. Barely the Cubs, also at an underdog line with Jameson Taillon going. He's pitched well in his first 2 starts. Luis Severino's also pitched very well. Should be a pitcher's duel in New York. It's probably warm there as well. And you got, unfortunately, a low over-under of 7 or 7.5. So another tough game to play. Minnesota over the White Sox. White Sox are at home. Minnesota has Joe Ryan going, who's been pitching well. Garrett Crochet. I think I talked trash about his Crochet last time, and I guess he won a game. So his ERA is still pretty bad, but betting against the White Sox, while it has not worked out the last 3 days, is what the algorithm says to do. It's a number 2 pick of the day, but not really a pick of the day because the White Sox have been hot. Did I just say that? The White Sox have been hot. Tampa Bay and Milwaukee, extremely close game by margin and by score. Says Milwaukee can barely do it with Bryce Wilson going over Ryan Pepiot. Favors factoring Milwaukee all the way through here, though. So this is one of those where even though it's a 1% margin, every factor's rolling, and Tampa Bay just dropped 3 to the White Sox, so they're not on a hot streak. So Milwaukee at -110, that's actually probably a pretty decent pick, even though the margin's really low down there. Philadelphia wants to be up on this list. Number 4 pick of the day, 7-2 over the Angels. Angels have been getting crushed. Griffin Canning's monster 7.5 ERA and a bad bullpen ERA. Philadelphia has been playing well, trying to get Christopher Sanchez's 2nd win of the season. His ERA is good, but he hasn't been putting up wins for some reason. Their lineup factors in favor. Philadelphia is a pretty strong pick here at not that bad of a line. Dodgers and Arizona. Says Dodgers who did not win as our pick of the day yesterday, unfortunately. 7% margin. Paxton's going. He's pitching great. Tommy Henry, not really. Not really. Although the whip is pretty high for Paxton, which is interesting. Dodgers across the board in every one of these stats. So it's the Dodgers at only minus 130. Pittsburgh, are you the pick of the day, Pirates? Bailey Falter. Don't falter for us. 2-1, 3.35 ERA. Whip is great. Look at all these red numbers for Joe Boyle. 7 ERA. Terrible lineup factor for Oakland. 1.8 whip. Every single factor favors the Pirates today. The Pirates are the pick of the day. Go Pittsburgh. Atlanta and Seattle. Seattle by 2 at an underdog line with Bryce Miller going up against Max Fried, who's not pitched up to his reputation. Actually, he's 2-0 though. He's not pitching bad. Shouldn't say that. And the lineup factor for Atlanta is better. It's a tough game. Very tough game. Notice it's favoring Atlanta by margin, but not by score. That's due to this just ridiculously low ERA for Bryce Miller, but other stats favoring Atlanta. So expect a close game in the port city. But no, Seattle's up. Seattle, they got some ports in Seattle, but they're not the port city. It's Portland's port city. Cincinnati and San Diego, it says the Reds, 7% margin. Nick Lodolo's pitching great. Matt Waldron, mediocre. Close with lineup factor. Probably Cincinnati, but it's only a 7% margin. So, in summary, Pittsburgh looks good. Minnesota, because they are going up against the White Sox. Are the White Sox going to win 4 in a row? Washington is the underdog pick of the day. Philadelphia to win. And then a lot of close games down below. So we want to judge our profitability here. Only 4 games above 10% margin. 4 games above 10% margin. And notice the worst line is against the White Sox, and the White Sox have been playing better. So Pittsburgh, Washington, and Philadelphia are some big 3 on there. All right. According to the macro average, it's Pittsburgh, Philly, Minnesota. Dodgers are a little higher. Washington and Cincinnati's up here too. So all these 5 games are pretty decent according to the macro average. That's your update. Good luck, everyone. Go Pirates, and may all of your picks be winning. See ya.